Well, good morning and welcome back. It's a beautiful sunny day for early June. You know, in this climate, we battle a lot of fog and east winds off Lake Superior in June because the lake's a lot colder than the land temperatures. That lake is probably still 30 degrees. So an east wind will make it really difficult to do any kind of farm work. But today we've got several days now running of west winds, so it's beautiful. It's going to be 60s today, sunny, and the ground has dried out enough so I was able to disc up those wet spots. So we've got 3 wet spots, 3 smaller fields to put oats in with hayseed underneath. So we're going to start that today, and hopefully we won't have any breakdowns. So the first thing we have to do is load seed in the truck, and we keep our seed in this end of the old barn. The old 3/4 ton diesel doesn't get used very often. Partly because its front shocks are out, it really bounces when you hit bumps. But it works pretty well for hauling seed. You can see we got a pretty big load back there of oats and hayseed, which will get loaded into the seeder when we get there. I'm just following Dawn down. Those steel packer wheels definitely make a little bit of racket going down the tar road. Well, that wraps up seeding. Just one pass to go, and we'll be seeded for 2022. All the wet spots. We still have a spot up in the corner here that's going to be too wet to disc and plant. This will have to wait and be cleaned up this fall. You can see there's still standing water where we drove through it with a disc. And there's a little pond in there in that brush. Some years, most years, that's actually dry in there, but we've had a lot of moisture so far this year. So this is not a big spot, and it'll be once we get the oats off in August, we'll be able to get in here, hopefully disc this little patch up, and then get some seed down. So with the seed in the ground, now it's time to roll the fields. We've shown the roller before, but here's a look at our roller. And what it is an old steel wheel packer. You see individual wheels on an axle. And originally it was a wood bearing affair, 3 separate sections that towed together at a little over 12 feet. And we put it underneath an old International 12-foot disc frame, threw away the discs, and clamped these rollers on here and fit the axles through the bearings of that International disc. You can see I haven't cut this one off yet. I was experimenting. This one uses the International disc axle, and this one uses the original Packer axle, which is 2 1/4 inch axle, and it fit kind of tight in there. So far they both seem to be performing okay. We keep them greased up. The front one is just a little wider. It's 6.5 feet. So it was a good way to recycle this old International disc frame, which really was nothing more than scrap, and a way for us to get a packer using an old, very old piece of equipment, giving it new life. So packing is critical to the field. You can see it levels it up pretty nice here. Makes a real good seed bed. We're headed in there now, every place but the wet spot, and we'll pack this little 1.5 acres. This was the field that was too wet to plant last week. There's a little bit of dust, but last year, if you remember, packing, it was terribly dusty. It was such a dry year, and there was a choking dust coming up from the packer and the seeder too. And now, just a little bit of dust. There's still a lot of residual moisture in this soil, which hopefully means we'll get really good early growth. And maybe we can catch up on what we're behind on, planting late. We get hopefully an explosion of early growth, and we can get back on track with the growth of and maturity of these oats. Well, just a little over a week since we seeded the alfalfa and the barley is up really nice. We've noticed pretty solid germination. There's a few hard pan spots that didn't germinate very well, but otherwise it's up about 3 to 5 inches across this field. and you can see the alfalfa underneath it coming up just as strong. But the bulk of the field is up, and is looking really strong. That should take care of this part of farming. Next up, making hay. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.